okay, so we have a friend, Tom, mutual friend, acquaintance, person in our lives. I don't want to speak for Ross's opinion here. And he always uses these sketchy websites to buy his keys for Steam. And one of those sketchy websites has confirmed that they at one point, and probably more if we're reading into this correctly, have sold stolen Steam keys.
I mean, they all have. Like,
yeah, I mean, look,
it's very obvious.
When a game is always $10 less on a particular website, they're either buying them secondhand from people and reselling them, or they're stolen. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. So I already forget, what was the game?
Factorio.
There we go. Yes, Factorio. It's, it's the better version of Satisfactory. Anyway, that's my opinion, and you can have it. But it was a funny story because, and we were talking about this before the podcast. Basically, G2A said we can do an audit and figure out if any of these were stolen. So the publisher or the developer said, okay, we want to do that. And they went out and they tried to select some auditing firms. And G2A was like, they don't meet our requirements. So G2A probably offered the sketchiest back alley auditing firms.
My cousin Vinny auditing.
Exactly. And the publisher was like, no. But what blows my mind is the publisher or developer, they agreed to G2A doing an internal investigation. Now, props to G2A because they came out and they said, no, you were right. A few hundred of those keys were stolen. There you go. We did our due diligence. But I just thought it was sketchy website, obviously selling some sketchy stuff. Won't use an audit firm determined or chosen by the client, effectively. Does their own internal audit and then actually comes out somewhat truthful. Interesting stuff. But this segment is specifically for Tom. Stop buying stolen gaming keys from these websites.
Well, these websites in their very nature are shady because it's just, if you look on a website and they're selling FIFA Ultimate Team points for a discounted value, chances are it's not legit. Essentially these sites work out. So let's say if I go on Humble Bundle and I buy a set of games and I have one of those games already, so I just have a key floating around. The point of this website as it is written is, I have this key for a game I already have. Let me sort of eBay this key out to someone who wants to play the game, maybe doesn't want to pay full price for it, but I'll get a cut for it or whatever. So I'll give them the key. They'll pay me some money. So I'll recoup whatever I spent to get the bundle on Humble Bundle or something like that. But what happens is people use this maliciously. They'll do things like steal credit cards and then use those credit cards to buy a bunch of keys. So and then they'll sell those keys at a very low price, and they'll make profit because it's stolen regardless. Who cares? Same thing with FIFA Ultimate Team points. They'll do things like whenever there's a giveaway on Twitter or Instagram, they'll make a bajillion accounts and try and get the key from the giveaway. They'll pretend that they're a YouTube personality and go to this developer and say, hey, I want a key to do a video on your game, and then they'll just sell the key. Mm-hmm. So it's just the amount of ways that people can sort of utilize this gray market for evil. Not very good.
Yeah, it's the same thing. People ask all the time, what's the deal with these scammers always wanting me to buy them an iTunes card or...
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's less traceable. I can now go and use that iTunes card and sell that for, 60 to 70% on one of these gift card exchange markets or whatever the case may be. It exists with the keys. Now, I think it's kind of a cool idea, these sites. If working in a legitimate way, it makes sense. Yeah. But like you mentioned, anything that's kind of that gray market-ish is always set to be kind of... sketchy, right? I do sometimes I like watches. Sometimes I'll buy my watches from a gray market dealer if I can't find them elsewhere, but there's one or two that I trust because they have authenticity and tracking of where they got it. So a lot of times what happens in those instances is these companies go out and they buy out like jewelry shops that are going out of business, or if a company like let's just use Rolex because it's well known, they have a bunch of extra stock and they're coming out with the newest, latest version of that watch. They'll buy them at like at a reduced cost and then sell them 10-20% below MSRP. But in that same world, the same thing happens. People knock over jewelry stores. They sell them to these guys. Like, so anytime, like you said, there's these gray market areas, there might be a few that do it really well and legitimate, and they're offering a good service. But there's always going to be an overwhelming amount of people who are going to try to take advantage of that. It's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it stinks. I think the problem was that these people, whenever a key was stolen or whatever, and these people got their credit card back, they would then refund everything, and then the refund actually hits the developer of the game and not the people that are
Selling it.
like it wouldn't affect G2A because G2A is just a middleman saying, "Hey, you have a key that I bought on Steam. Here, give me money for it." So when it gets refunded, the money comes out of the Steam purchase instead of, G2A because they're
Yeah.
just sort of the middleman. So now all these people are just getting like, let's say our boy Leith or whatever, he all of a sudden he wakes up and he's got 10 refunded copies of his game and he's like, what happened? And it's like, well, these people bought a discounted code off G2A and now they got their credit card back and then they're refunding everything. And it's just, I don't know. And then you go look at Steam and you see, oh, all this stuff's been refunded. Why? I don't know. They didn't even play the game.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that part of the equation either, but you're right. Like, and imagine running a business too. It's not just, oh, whatever, like let's say my $20 game I get 50%, it's probably not that good. Okay, I made $100 today because I sold 10 copies of the game, and then that $100 gets taken back. Do that at scale. Be a business who takes that money, takes that cash flow, pushes it back into the business to do more marketing or to pay debts or whatever the case may be, right? And now maybe that was $1,000 instead of $100, right, of profit that you have refunded. I mean, it's not just an inconvenience, right? Like it's hurting their business. They might not exist if this kind of continues on. So
Well, when I was looking into it, a lot of indie devs were like, this causes us so many problems in terms of like customer service.
mm-hmm.
They have to figure out if something's actually a legitimate purchase. They have to, worry about like if they buy this thing off G2A and then they ask for a refund and they go to them and they have to figure out if it was a legitimate purchase or something like that and it went to the right person. Yeah. It got to the point where a lot of developers were just saying like, please just pirate our game. Like I saw a bunch of developers say, I would rather you pirate our game than buy it off of a key store because it costs us so much money, time, and effort dealing with these sorts of things.
That's crazy. That's like a level of just I don't have words. Like I have no words. Like for a developer to say like this game I've put all of my heart and soul into making, just please steal it instead of doing this is just, I mean, it literally took the words out of my mouth.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the problem is it doesn't really hurt the AAA studios that much.
No.
It does, obviously, but
Not
it hurts
bad.
the indie devs the most.
Yeah.
And the indie devs are only like 8% of their actual revenue. So all the indie devs are just like, hey, just stop selling your keys. And it gets worse because now G2A does things like they buy sponsored ad space off of Google.
Oh,
so again, I was seeing another indie developer that whenever they Googled their game, I think the game was called like Descenders or something like that. It was like a biking game. So if you Google the name of the game on their phone, on like a phone or something like that, the sponsored Google ads will directly lead you to GTA where G2A where they don't make a profit off of it at all.
Wow.
Just because they bought the sponsored ad space. So like that, the G2A store comes up before the Steam, before their own store, before Humble Bundle, before any of that stuff.
Damn, dude.